You ever come home from work and find out the HOA changed your locks like it's their house now? Yeah. That happened to me. Name's Mark. 36, cybersecurity consultant, and definitely not someone you want to mess with if your idea of power comes from a clipboard and a group chat. See, I bought my house 6 years ago. Paid it off in 5. No mortgage, no roommates, no nonsense. Just me, my cat Linus, and a little peace and quiet, until the HOA decided their definition of peace meant I had to dig up my entire front lawn because it wasn't 65% Kentucky bluegrass. I planted creeping thyme. Looks nice. Smells nice. Bugs like it. Apparently, Karen didn't. Karen Miller. HOA president. Mid-50s, frosted tips, attitude like she invented suburbia. If she ran the country, we'd all be fined for breathing too loud on Tuesdays. I missed one HOA meeting, and next thing I know, I'm racking up violation notices like parking tickets in New York. I ignored them. Politely. Then came the fines. Then came the threats. Then came Tuesday. I'm at work, halfway through patching up a ransomware mess for a local hospital, when my neighbor Greg texts me. Hey man, why is there a locksmith at your house? Excuse me, what? He sends me a picture. Sure enough, there's a dude with a drill going to town on my front door. And behind him? Karen. Sippin' iced coffee like it's Sunday brunch. Clipboard in hand. Smiling. I call her. She picks up like we're old pals. Oh hi, Mark. We're resecuring the property. You've been in violation for over 90 days. The board voted to assume temporary possession. Possession of my house. I reminded her I own it outright. She replied, and I quote, not according to our bylaws. Then she hung up. I stared at my phone for a solid 10 seconds. Not because I was mad. Oh no. I was calculating. Because here's what Karen didn't know, I coded the community's smart security system. Every lock. Every camera. Every door sensor. Guess who had full admin access? I opened the app. Watched her waltz into my living room like she was touring a model home. She even pointed at my cat and said, he'll need to go to a shelter if Mark doesn't comply. Lady, touch my cat and see what happens. I called my lawyer. Then the county clerk. Then pulled the HOA's meeting records. You know what I found? They never had quorum. Their vote wasn't legal. And the bylaws? They had no clause about temporary possession. Just a bunch of bluffs, badly written in Comic Sans. So I did what any quiet IT guy with admin access would do. I changed every lock. I locked them out. Then I changed the Wi-Fi password. They came back the next morning. Karen, 2 of her bored cronies, and the same poor locksmith, who looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. I watched them through my security feed while sipping coffee in my robe. Karen knocked. Then she rang the bell. Then she banged on the door like she was executing a search warrant. I hit the intercom. Hi, Karen. Did you forget your keys? Mark, she said, trying to sound calm, this is a serious legal matter. You're trespassing in a property under HOA enforcement. Pretty bold talk for someone standing on my front porch. You should read your bylaws again. She started talking over me, but I wasn't listening. I was typing. One command, and all 3 of the outdoor security lights turned red. A quiet warning. My kind of warning. Karen froze. Then squinted up at the cameras. I watched her face cycle through the 5 stages of Karen grief, confusion, denial, entitlement, rage, and finally, threats. You'll regret this, she shouted at the door. She always had a flair for suburban drama. Now, I could have left it there. I already changed the locks, filed my own cease and desist, even scheduled a meeting with a real estate lawyer. But Karen wasn't the type to take a hint. And I wasn't the type to let things go once you trespass in my home and threaten my cat. So I got to work. You see, 6 months ago, Karen insisted the HOA upgrade to a state-of-the-art digital management platform. Basically, an app where residents could pay fees, report violations, and vote on rules. Guess who she hired to build it? Yup. Me. They paid me once, and never again. Claimed my updates weren't necessary. So I left a little something in the code. Not malware. Nothing illegal. Just doors. Back doors. Hidden admin access. Diagnostic tools. A full log of every time someone accessed the system. And best of all, an override to trigger HOA-wide alerts. That afternoon, I activated a feature no one but me knew existed, full compliance mode. Every time someone in the HOA's board logged in, they got a cheerful little message. Reminder, non-quorum meetings are advisory only. Enforcement actions are invalid without majority vote. And then it locked them out. By the next day, Karen's phone was blowing up. Half the neighborhood couldn't log into their accounts. Nobody could pay dues. And the violation report page replaced with a giant blinking message. Violation, unauthorized access attempt logged. Please contact your administrator. That administrator was me. Karen showed up again that evening, this time with a clipboard and some poor young guy she claimed was the HOA's legal counsel. Spoiler, he was just her nephew with a degree in communications. I opened the intercom. You bring me a real lawyer, or a judge's order, and I'll talk. Until then, you're trespassing. Karen's nephew whispered something to her. She turned red, spun on her heels, and stormed off my lawn. I could have stopped there. But hey, she wasn't done trying to ruin my life. So I made it fair. I printed out screenshots from the HOA platform logs, showing her accessing my property's violation history at 2 a.m. multiple times over the past 3 weeks. I paired it with the footage of her entering my house without permission and sent it to the county housing board. Then I posted in the neighborhood forum. Nothing angry. Just screenshots. Timelines. A polite note, if anyone's having issues with the HOA system or questions about recent enforcements, here's what I found. Just looking out for my fellow homeowners. The post went viral. Half the neighborhood didn't even know Karen had entered my home. Once they saw the footage. Oh boy. Turns out I wasn't the only one she'd targeted. She fined a retired veteran $200 for putting a flag holder on his porch rail. She harassed a young couple for unsanctioned holiday decor. They'd put up a pumpkin. One pumpkin. The forum exploded. People were pissed. I got messages thanking me. One guy offered to buy me dinner. Greg next door just brought me a 6-pack and said, "God bless you, man." Karen. She tried damage control. Started going door to door, pretending it was all a misunderstanding. Said that system glitch wasn't her fault. That the locksmith was a mistake. That she never meant to cause harm. But the damage was done. 2 days later, I got an invite to an emergency HOA vote. Guess what? They finally hit quorum. And Karen voted out. Unanimously. Even her friends on the board turned on her. Something about not wanting to go down with the ship. I watched the meeting through a live stream, one of the new transparency measures we added after her removal. When they asked for volunteers to help rebuild the system, people nominated me. I declined. I told them I'd happily help transition to a new secure platform, under one condition. No power grabs. No unauthorized fines. And definitely no entering anyone's home without consent. They agreed. As for Karen, she moved out 3 weeks later. Word is, she tried to start over in a condo complex across town. I heard they didn't even let her join the newsletter committee. Meanwhile, I took a week off work. Installed better cameras. Upgraded my firewall. And gave Linus his own smart feeder system, because if anything ever happens again, at least the cat's gonna be fine. Oh, and I replaced the "welcome" mat on my front porch. Now it reads, HOA President not welcome. You'd think that after getting Karen booted and the whole neighborhood applauding my digital justice, life would get back to normal. For a little while, it did. No more surprise violation letters. No more midnight camera alerts. Just peace, quiet, and the occasional thank you muffin basket from neighbors I'd never even met before. I was even starting to enjoy HOA life. Until the mail came. One envelope. No return address. Just urgent stamped in red. Inside. A notice from a private law firm representing, wait for it, Karen. Apparently, she wasn't done. The letter accused me of defamation, cyber manipulation, and, my personal favorite, willful system sabotage with intent to humiliate. She was suing me. I laughed. I'm talking full volume, evil villain laughter. I hadn't laughed that hard since Linus the cat fell in the sink chasing a laser pointer. Now, I'm not a lawyer. But I'm not stupid either. I sent the letter straight to the real estate attorney I'd already hired back when Karen first broke into my house. Within 2 hours, he'd already drafted a response. Something about lack of standing, frivolous litigation, and, this part made me proud, defensive administrative countermeasures to prevent unauthorized access. Translation: Karen didn't have a case. But she wanted to scare me. She was pulling the oldest HOA trick in the book, fake legal pressure. Hoping I'd back down. Clearly, she didn't know who she was messing with. I didn't just send a reply. I filed a complaint of my own, with evidence. Video. Timestamps. Access logs. Copies of every interaction where she entered my house, used HOA funds without approval, and falsified violation records. Karen's lawyer dropped her in a week. No joke. A week. Apparently, once he saw the full picture, he decided he didn't want his name anywhere near that mess. But here's where it got interesting. A few days after the lawsuit fizzled, I noticed weird traffic on my home network. Pings from unknown IP addresses. Automated login attempts on my smart thermostat, of all things. Now, most people wouldn't notice this stuff. But remember, this is my system. I wrote half the code in my house. Someone was trying to hack me. And I had a pretty good idea who. So I baited the trap. I isolated a segment of my home network. Built a clone of my HOA admin panel, just for show. A honeypot. With a nice, juicy login portal and a couple fake admin tools. Then I waited. 2 days later, bam. Someone logged in from an out-of-state VPN. Clicked around. Tried to trigger an alert. Downloaded a confidential neighborhood file I'd planted. Inside that file, nothing but a single line of text. Karen, this is a federal offense. Have fun. I traced the connection to a familiar email, karen.smythe94@gmail.com. Sloppy. Real sloppy. I sent the logs to my lawyer just in case. Then, for fun, I created a new account on the neighborhood forum using a burner email. I posted one screenshot. No commentary. Just the login attempt log and an IP trace. The post title: Former HOA presidents shouldn't hack smart homes. It was beautiful. By sundown, the thread had 100 replies. People wanted her arrested. One guy said she tried to find his goldfish tank. I don't even know what that means. Karen's name was Mud. Again. But I wasn't done. You see, During the chaos, I'd been quietly working with the new HOA board. Helping them set up a real system. Transparent. Secure. Open to all residents. And once it launched, I added a tiny new feature. A public violation archive. Every past HOA fine. Every decision. Every entry log. All time-stamped. All traceable. All backed up on a distributed ledger. Uneditable. Guess whose name showed up 217 times? Yeah. Karen. It turned out she'd been abusing her power for years, unapproved spending, fabricated votes, fake meetings. The works. The best part? One of her past fines had actually resulted in a lien on a resident's home. That guy. He was a retired judge. I'll give you one guess what he did next. Karen got served again. But this time. It was real. Fraud. Abuse of power. Misuse of funds. The new board officially banned her from ever holding any HOA-related role in our county. Not just our neighborhood. Anywhere in the county. That's when I finally relaxed. I sat back. Let Linus curl up in my lap. Put on a movie. Cracked open a root beer. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel like I had to sleep with one eye on the camera feed. But then. About a week later, my doorbell rang. I checked the camera. It was Karen. Hair a mess. Makeup smeared. Clutching a plastic binder like it was a lifeline. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity got the better of me. I opened the intercom. She stared into the camera, eyes wide. Mark, please. I need your help. There are exactly 3 people I never expected to see standing at my front door. 1, my ex-wife holding a gift basket. 2, Linus the cat after his 4th, accidental, fall from the balcony. 3, and Karen Smythe, disgraced former HOA president, holding a plastic binder like it was the last life raft off the Titanic. Guess who showed up? She looked rough. Like someone who just lost a custody battle with a blender. I didn't even open the door. I just tapped the intercom and said, "This better be good." She took a breath. Deep. Dramatic. Way too theatrical for someone who'd recently tried to sue me and digitally break into my thermostat. "Mark," she said, "I know I made some mistakes." Mistakes? "Ma'am, you broke into my house and tried to find me for wind chimes." But I let her talk. "I need your help," she said. "They're coming after me." At first, I thought she meant the neighborhood. Which, fair. She did rack up over 200 fraudulent actions. And one guy swore she had his rose bushes trimmed into what he called an offensive political shape. But no. Karen wasn't talking about the neighbors. She meant them. The Real HOA board. See, apparently our neighborhood chapter was just a subdivision of a larger regional HOA council. Like HOA Inception. Karen had been selected to manage our neighborhood by pulling strings and kissing the right rings up the chain. And now that everything was public, every scam, every misuse of funds, they were panicking. Not because they cared about justice. Because they were implicated too. Karen was the fall guy. Or fall gal. Whatever. She came to me because I was the only one tech-savvy enough to expose her, and possibly the only one smart enough to help her bury the rest of it. She actually said that. "I need your expertise. Your digital finesse. Lady, I am not your personal IT witch doctor." But I was curious. So I let her in. She stepped inside like she expected to get shot. Eyes darting around like Linus when he hears the vacuum. We sat down. Linus sat on her binder. Power move. Karen opened the folder and showed me everything, emails, meeting transcripts, financial statements marked off record. It was a rabbit hole of HOA corruption. Regional execs rerouting neighborhood funds to consulting firms run by their own spouses. Fines issued preemptively, before violations even occurred. One guy billed $3,000 for decorative drainage consulting. Whatever that means. Karen had proof. And now she was on their bad side. I need to go public, she said, but I need someone to help me not get digitally nuked in the process. I stared at her. This woman, the one who had fined me for grass defiance, who keyed my car and blamed teenagers, was now asking me to become her tech bodyguard. I asked her the only question that mattered. What's in it for me? She didn't hesitate. Full admin access to the regional HOA system. Oh. Oh ho ho. Now we were speaking my language. See, the regional system controlled a lot more than just our neighborhood. It managed fines, approvals, budgets, even community grant decisions across a dozen zones. That kind of access could be very useful. Like, auto-decline all future Karen-like board members, useful. Like, reroute funds to build an actual dog park for once, useful. So I agreed. On one condition, I ran the show. She was just the snitch. She nodded. The next few days were like a hacker buddy cop movie. Karen would point out who did what and when. I'd dig through the system and pull receipts. She'd freak out over retaliation. I'd calmly reroute IPs and encrypt our location like a digital Gandalf. At one point, some exec tried to block us by triggering a fake data wipe. Too bad for him, I'd already mirrored the entire system to a cold storage drive Linus had been sleeping on for 2 days. Cozy little server cat. Then came the leak. I built a site. Anonymous. Clean. Bulletproof. We uploaded everything, emails, payment records, board votes, ghost contracts. I even added a little search bar so residents could type in their HOA officer's name and see exactly what shady nonsense they'd approved. I posted the link on every neighborhood forum from here to the county line. And it blew up. People went nuclear. Lawsuits. News reports. One regional officer fled to Florida. Another tried to claim he was just the tech guy, and got roasted on live stream by a grandma with a ring light and a grudge. Karen. She got subpoenaed as a witness. And me? I got invited to consult on a complete regional HOA reform task force. The same people who used to send me threatening letters about mailbox height were now begging me to rebuild their system from scratch. I gave them my terms. No secret meetings. No hidden fines. All decisions get autologged and published in a public ledger. They agreed. And just like that, the HOA that once tried to crush me now had to hire me. Karen disappeared after the leak. Last I heard, she moved out of state to start a new chapter. Good for her. As for me, I now live in the most peaceful, drama-free neighborhood in the region. Everyone waves at me. The board sends me cookies every quarter. My lawn can be exactly the length I like without any passive-aggressive notes showing up in the mailbox. And Linus? He finally got his heated smart bed, funded by a pet wellness grant I may or may not have coded into the new budget software. Hey. Call it emotional damage compensation. Just when I thought it was over. Just when the yard was quiet, the mailbox wasn't stuffed with passive-aggressive warning slips, and Linus had finally stopped stress shedding. They launched Project Civitas. No warning. No community vote. Just a shiny new press release. Civitas, a revolutionary HOA operating system, designed to promote harmony and compliance in modern neighborhoods. Aha. Sure. Translation. We're rebranding our dictatorship and giving it an app. I knew something was off the moment I saw the logo. It was my code. The design. The layout. The back-end framework. It was like watching a burglar walk around your house wearing your clothes and acting like he bought it. See, when I was brought in to rebuild the HOA system after the regional leak, I coded everything under a temporary structure. A beta system. I was supposed to oversee its expansion. But I'd stepped away for just a few months, one little sabbatical to enjoy silence and overpriced coffee, and in that time, the new HOA board had gotten cocky. They hired some third-rate development firm to slap a front-end interface on my infrastructure, renamed it Civitas, and launched it with a full marketing campaign like it was the iPhone of neighborhood tyranny. But here's the kicker. They didn't change the back-end permissions. I still had root access. They didn't even rotate the tokens. So now I'm sitting on my patio, sipping espresso out of a mug that says, "I void warranties," watching an HOA livestream where they're explaining how this system will prevent future abuses by giving automated authority to AI compliance logic. Let me say that again. They handed enforcement power to an algorithm. An algorithm built on code I wrote while sleep-deprived and fueled entirely by petty rage and revenge fantasies. And they thought this was gonna go well. Buckle up. Because Civitas was about to become the HOA's worst nightmare. It started small. At 3 a.m., their new AI violation scanner issued 416 simultaneous fines across the region, for things like wind chimes with unregistered tonal frequencies, lawn gnomes that exceed facial whimsy limits, house numbers not contrasting enough with the surrounding vibe. Neighbors woke up to emails reading like Orwellian love letters. Confusion turned to fury. Forums lit up. One guy went live on TikTok in a bathrobe and declared, "This is HOA communism." And yet the board? Clueless. They thought it was just a minor launch bug. Meanwhile, I was upstairs rewriting Civitas's logic tree to cross-validate complaint tickets with nothing. Basically, any complaint submitted by a board member just got rerouted into a folder labeled pending until sun explodes. Karen would have cried tears of joy if she could see it. But that was just phase 1. Phase 2. That's where I gave the power back to the people. I modified the Civitas app to add a hidden menu, accessible only by typing a very specific phrase into the help bar. Why is my HOA like this? Open it, and suddenly, residents could view and override most minor citations with a single tap. Like a reverse Uno button for fines. Overnight, thousands of charges disappeared. One old lady in Sector 4B dismissed a fence height citation, then sent the HOA a tip for wasting her time. Legend. But of course, nothing good lasts without someone sniffing around. That someone? Jeremy. Jeremy was the new tech lead hired by the regional board. A smug, overgelled former SaaS visionary who thought debugging meant switching browsers. He started poking around the logs. Sent me an email titled "Urgent, Unauthorized Anomalies Detected." I replied with a JPEG of a cat in a server room. He wasn't amused. Within a week, he pushed an update to Civitas. Tried to shut me out. He even launched a surprise rollback of the system, a full reboot. Nice try, Jeremy. Too bad I built Civitas with a deadman switch. You try to delete me, and the system enters paranoid mode. It locked everyone out, including Jeremy, and displayed a message on every resident's app. This system is currently undergoing psychiatric evaluation. Please try again later. I swear, Linus purred when he saw it. With the system offline, the HOA board scrambled. They tried everything, emergency meetings, press releases, even handwritten letters begging for digital stability. And that's when I dropped the final payload. A video. Anonymous. Stylized. Cinematic music. You know, the works. It started with aerial drone shots of various neighborhoods. Peaceful. Pristine. Then glitch transitions. Headlines. Audio bites of HOA officials yelling at residents. Karen's voice saying, "They're coming after me." Then I spoke. Voice masked. But the message was clear. You tried to automate oppression. You tried to weaponize my code. But you forgot the most important rule of digital governance. I am the administrator. Cut to black. Civitas rebooted, but this time with a radically new interface. Transparent. Decentralized. Community-driven. No more surprise finds. No more board-only access. Every action logged publicly. Every resident able to vote on major decisions. The board was furious. But powerless. Because in their desperation to look cutting edge, they gave me all the leverage I needed. And now? Now I run the HOA, without being in the HOA. I don't show up to meetings. I don't sign any paperwork. But every system they touch, every notification they send, goes through me first. I don't enforce the rules. I curate them. And if they ever try anything again, well, let's just say there's a backup system called Civitas Prime sitting on a server in my basement. And it has moods.